Okay, so we have like 30 seconds left. Okay, so like I just said directly, or like shouldn't we wait to be live on YouTube first, so I can still see 7 seconds. Okay, okay, we are live. So hello everyone, good evening, and I hope you all will be fine. So first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Mursal Furkan, and I am a part of DevScript, and yeah, like there's nothing so much so good about me. I'm a Microsoft Learn Sprint ambassador. I'm a final year computer system engineering student and a data scientist in university as well. So guys, let's come over to the topic. What we're going to talk right now. What we'll cover right now. Okay, so actually, like if I'm having any issues in my voice or distortion, वगैरह, so do ping me, right? Uh, because I'm muting everyone. Okay, so first of all, welcome to this workshop by DevScript and yeah, Python Bootcamp Day 7. I'm a part of a DevScript team as well. So let's get on to the one. First of all, let me tell you that what tuples are, right? Basically, what is Python and like or in all the whole workshop in all series, you'd be quite familiar with Python, different concepts of Python, lists, वगैरह. You'd be quite familiar with that, with all those. And like right now, today we are going to talk on tuples because you guys must have read about lists. You guys would have read about dictionaries and all that. So now, tuples are basically almost like lists. Like the basic concept of tuple in Python is that a list that we use in Python, they are mutables. Like they can be changed, they can be edited, they can like they are not concrete sort of data. Uh, why am I reading the fun? Let's move on with the notebook, right? So tuples in Python is completely similar to list. The only difference being that the elements of tuple cannot be changed, whereas in a list, you can change the elements. You can once a list is created, you can change its elements on the go, like in the runtime. But in tuple, you cannot do it. In tuple, it's concrete. Once it is made, it's done. You cannot change anything or like any element or any sequence. Like you cannot change anything. Now, just because of this one change, okay, voice is not clear somewhat. Is it like just with Vishal or like everyone? The chat is open. That if you guys have any issue, you can ping in the chat. Okay, I should like speak a bit louder. Wait a minute. Let me correct. Okay, now is it clear? Now am I clear? Am I quite audible? Guys, like you can tell me in the chat if I'm audible or not. If, like or like Vedant or Aditya, you can also tell me. Okay, now great. Yeah, I also think so. It is Mike's problem, but it was right. Acha, right. Now, the thing that like I've told you the difference. What is the difference? But why is that difference? Why that makes that? Why this difference makes a tuple better than the list? Because the difference is nothing change. You guys, programmers, can work with that. But now the thing is, when it comes to the size of a program, when it comes to the speed of a program, it and like you are having millions and billions of lines of code, in that scenario, in that case, uh, tuples play a very, very, very vital role because they reduce the size of the program. They reduce the they enhance the speed of the working of the program that we are making. Like if we are making some sort of a chat app in Python, right? And we are having all the intents in tuples. So normally in a chat bot, in a bot, or like in any automation sort of operation we are doing in Python, our preference is that we take almost all the items that are immutable in tuple because it literally creates a space to function more. Yeah, right. So like now this is a meme by from Pokemon. Prepare for trouble, make it suffer. Right? Okay, when you first discover that a Python function can return multiple values, right? Now list a tuple is like a list, but tuples are iterable arrays of objects, and tuples are immutable. Now the thing is that you can't edit them once created. You can't add any item. You cannot remove any item. Like if I'm declaring a list named as DevScript, I can, and there are 7 items in the list. I can append the list, right? I can use different functions like append, change, replace to edit the list. But when it comes to tuple, you cannot do that. If I am creating a tuple of the name DevScript and it is having 7 items, now later I want to add 2 more items to that tuple, I would simply have to redeclare the entire tuple, right? I cannot edit the tuple. I cannot amend it. I simply have to start it completely from the scratch. Okay. Now, as they say that fixed variables in tuples are enslaved variables. They have no freedom. They cannot go anywhere. They cannot they cannot add up with anything or like that. Now, what we have in a list, no, we'll cover that later. I have everything covered up. Okay, so let's just give it a thorough read. What advantages of tuples over list? It is almost all the same thing that I have just mentioned over here. Okay, now since tuples are quite similar to lists, both are used in similar situations, but not exactly same. Similar situations. However, there are certain advantages of implementing a tuple over a list. Load listed are some of the main advantages. Now, we generally when we are using tuple, it comes to our mind that almost our data can be heterogeneous. Different types of data we can have. Whereas for lists in Python, even in Python for a list, the data type should be the same. Like in almost all the cases, the data type should be the same. You cannot have like you are having a float in at one place and you are having a string at another place and you are having an integer in another place. No, you cannot do that in list. But in tuple, it is completely allowed. You can have as many different types of data as you want, data types as you want. Now, since tuples are immutable, iterating through a tuple is way, way, way faster than a list. And like now, as I said, as I earlier given the example of a chatbot, if we are having it does it like when you are trying to do that in a small type of your application. For suppose you are creating a calculator, right? You won't see that much difference. If you are creating a calculator, you won't see that much between a list and a tuple. But if you are creating a chatbot and there are hundreds and thousands of applications, hundreds thousands of instructions running at the back end, then you will see that even a slight boostation of performance creates a great hindrance, right? Now, let's come to third point. The tuples that contain immutable elements can be used as a key for a dictionary, right? Now, with list, it is not possible. Well, what is in list? Okay, in list, it's simply the items are bounded, right? You cannot have different data types. You cannot have uh, hello. Just a second. Okay, so now let's move ahead. Now in Python, there are different data types, as you all would know: string, integer, float, and many more. And these all can be contained in a tuple. But while in list, you cannot do that. While in dictionary, you cannot do dictionary. You cannot do that. Now let's come over at our very first tuple. Now here, as you can see that I have taken the very same variables, same examples uh, as in here. I have taken disco as a string. I have taken an integer, and I am taking a float item. Now, in what would happen? Kena will have a type error, but over here we are like it is completely fine with the tuple. It's completely fine with the backend kernel. It is a simple, quite elegant output that is just in comma 1.2. Now, yeah, if we like tuple is a type, as I already said, tuple itself a type containing different other types. Now, if we print the type of the tuple, like this was tuple one declared variable, tuple variable name was tuple one. Okay, in list even we can have members of different types. So list can have different types of data. Uh, and now, well, for coming over to the tuples, the type is done. Now, different types of tuples. Okay, we can have four different types of tuples. The first one being the empty tuple, tuple having integers, and tuples with mixed data types, and nested tuples. Okay, so like in nested tuple, again we use lists because we cannot have tuples inside tuples. So we have lists inside tuples, and we can also have the very same thing. Now, if we print all, we'll get a simple, clean, and clear thing. That is said list cannot have. Yes, it can. Okay, I'll come. We'll take the question in the last, please. Like if you guys don't mind, we'll take question in the last, if possible, please. Is that okay if we take the question in the last? Or like you want me to go with the question in the middle of the talk? I think he's confused. Guys, see, the main thing is in list, we can have different types of data, but it is not viable option to have different types of data in a list because see, the list is not inherent type of the inherent type of an object. Now you might so using a tuple of a list by convention, tuples are used when the composition of the sequence is fixed, right? Lists are used when we might add to or remove from the sequence. Now, what does this like this results in? This results in complete having data. If you are having a set of things and you are considering to use tuples instead of lists, you will save lot of data. You will save lots of time. But if you are having different data types, you can also use lists as well. But that they are not preferred because they contain a lot of what we call it, lot of space, lot of our programming capacity, right? So, well, I am not. I'm sorry. Naga Venkata Prakash. I'm not confused and all. But the thing is that we cannot have tuples. We cannot have list where tuple can be used, right? It is not advisable by any programmer, like in the professional field. Okay, now we're on the types of tuples. Now, basically, we have four types of tuple. One is the empty tuple, tuples having integers, tuples with mixed data type, and nested tuple. So, like, I don't think so that we have to explain these types, because these are, I have tried to uh, simplify these types as much as I could. Now, to the next one, for tuples in Python, everything, literally everything in Python is an object, right? If you are having a list, a tuple can take it as an object. If we are having a function, tuple can take it the whole function as an object. If we are having a class, tuple can take the class as an object. So, like, literally speaking, for a tuple, everything in Python is considered an object, right? You cannot have like you can not say that in last sessions, ma'am told even lists can have different data sets. Yeah, Naga, Venkata, Prakash. That's what I'm saying, that we can have different type of data, but they're not preferred. They're not the best practice of the user, right? So for Python or for tuple, everything in Python is an object. Be it a list, be it a variable, be it a function, be it a class, be it anything, it is an object for tuples. Now, coming over to the tuple unpacking, right? So, like you can declare a tuple inside the brackets, the round brackets, or like you can declare tuples like this as well. Both of these will form a tuple. Now, for example, I have taken here these three values, except those like I have not included those three round brackets, right? Or those two round brackets, I have not included them. We can have, yeah, thank you so much. We can have round brackets as well, and we can declare the tuple without those round brackets as well. Now, if we have if we print it, if we print all the my tuple variable, again, the bane of Python. Wow. Yeah, you can consider it like that, Aditya Pati Kumar. You can consider it like that. Okay. So I have declared all these three things in a variable named my tuple, and I'm printing my tuple. So what it does, it prints them completely as a tuple, right? Now over here we did not put any bracket. We did not say to the Python that, hello, Mr. Python, these three values are part of tuple. But by default, what does Python does? Python converts them into a tuple. Okay, now tuple unpacking is also possible. Like you can differentiate, you can break down your tuple into different objects. Like over here, I have taken A, B, C, three variables for all the three values in my tuple. Now I have printed all these three values separately. So what we have got for A, we have got 3. Now 3 was at the index 0 over here. Now for B, we have got 4.6, and 4.6 was at index number 1 over here. Now for when we have printed C, we have got dog, that is a string, right? And dog is at number index number 2. Now we have, now as I already told you that Python or tuples over here are immutable, right? You cannot edit anything in tuple. Now over here, like the same variable, here is the same variable. But what is the difference? The value. I cannot redefine the variable, so I have redeclared it completely, right? Once I have redeclared it with hello, and then I have printed its type. Its type, it gives me output string, right? But at the same time, now creating a tuple having one element. Now see, if you are having just one single element in a tuple, Python doesn't recognizes it as a tuple. It simply takes it as an object. Now, in order to for Python being able to recognize that tuple, you must place 2 objects at least in that tuple. Now over here, for suppose we are not putting any second object, you cannot see any other object near hello, right? But we are having a comma. Now, what does comma does in Python? Comma differentiates one object from another. It separates one object from another unless it is not under inverted brackets or or under columns, right? So over here we are declaring 2 objects, so it is taking it as a tuple. While literally the same thing, we have not changed the thing, we have not done anything, we have just added comma. If we remove the comma and then check the type of that very tuple, like of the very variable, not the tuple. This is not a tuple, right? This is a variable. If we check that type of the variable when we are not having a comma, when we're having a very only single object in the list or in that variable declared, so we are getting as string, right? And so here is the same case, same scenario, but without brackets or without those brackets. It is advisable that when you are putting in Python or putting tuples, you use brackets. So for that, if any other person is seeing your code, it would be beneficial for that. Like it would be easy for that person to recognize and understand that. Okay, but wait, there's more. Right now, each element of a tuple can be accessed via an index number. Like what we have done here, we have simply unpacked a tuple. We have not called the tuple with their index numbers. Now, as I already said, the only difference between a list and a tuple is that being immutable and its data capacity. Now, just similarly, just like a list, like all the things that you can do in the list, you can do in tuple as well. Like you can call the objects by their index number. You can have negative indexing as well. Well, this is a complete different part. We are going ahead of a schedule. Now, each element of a tuple can be accessed via an index. The following table represents the relationship between an index and the item in the tuple. Like I have tried to create it as explainable as possible. Is list unpacking possible or not? Obviously, list unpacking is also possible. Why not? Like let's take this conversation in the end, right? As I said, I will take all the questions in the end. But if you are not understanding anything, you can ask me in the middle. Yes, it is possible. As I am saying time and again that all the operations, all the things that we can do in a list, we can do them in tuple. But the only difference, one single difference being that the tuples are immutable while lists are not. Lists are mutable. You can add it, you can append, you can replace anything in a list once they are created, after they are created. But you cannot do any such operation, you cannot perform any such operation in a tuple. Like tuples are concrete sort of objects in Python that you cannot edit them afterwards. Upender, I would request again that let's take all these questions in the last, please. Please. Like this is a request from my, or else I can answer you as well. But we're having like other tips as well. So yeah, let's take the question in the last. But yeah, I have to answer this as well. That how a compiler recognizes. Well, I'll answer this in the last. Now coming over to we are on the indexing part of the tuple, right? Now on the indexing part, I have taken here a tuple with common, not common, but with our own things, DevScript. Like each letter of DevScript is declared separately as a different object, a different part of tuple. Now, if what we want to do, we want to access tuples, objects of a tuple with their index values. Now, as all the programmers would know that this is the zero value. Now, when we are doing this, no, sorry, this is not get T, it will get D. Different keywords, right? Yeah. Okay, now like if we print this, print tuple at zero value, at zero, we'll get D. And while if we print tuple at fifth index, will index number 5 of the tuple will get the sixth element, that is R. Okay, and like if we can also have length of the tuple as well. If we take the length of the tuple, now list index error out of range, we can also have. Let me show you the index error as well. Okay. Now see, once unless there are no errors, there is no fun in learning. Index must be an integer. Now this thing must be clear in the mind. Index number must be integer. Index value must be integer. You cannot put them as. Sorry, let me just drink some water. You cannot take tuples. You cannot have index number in tuples just like you have index number in dictionary. What we do in dictionary, we can have either we can have key of the of our value that we want, or we can just simply put the index number. But in tuple, we cannot have this. In tuple, we simply are bound to have we are bound to call index with index or that number. Now listen, there must be integers, not float, right? There should be real numbers starting from 0 to n, but nothing in between, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We cannot have index number as 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.3, or 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. Yes, I'm executing live. Just a second. Just give me a minute. Let me first completely explain this whole cell block, then we'll execute it. Okay. Now coming over to the nested tuple, how can we access the data in a nested tuple? Like I already told you, nested tuple is also a type of tuple, the fourth type of tuple, and that is a very cool sort of thing, right? Now, as you might have already learned in a list, how can you access numbers in like a nest? How can you access nested list? So the completely we have the similar concept over here, completely similar concept, just like list, right? Now when we have executed it, we are having an error, like the very error that we created ourselves to show you guys that what is a list index out of a tuple index out of range, but it's completely this one, not list, it's tuple, right? Now if we remove this error, okay, we have commented out this error. This error was created like by us to show you guys how an error is created with out of index out of range. Now since this error gone, we are having everything completely fine. We are having tuple list, the zero index number, the zero index value of this tuple that is D, it is D, right? We are having number fifth. Fifth is the sixth element of the tuple, right? Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. R is the sixth element. R is the sixth part of the tuple. We are having here R, right? Then what we did, we printed out the length of the tuple. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And like this way, try to explain the same in direct compiler itself. There it is a compiler. We are having this whole thing in Colab. So Colab itself is a compiler. I cannot do live coding on a Python file and like again go to CMD and like have Python dot xyz.py. We cannot do that in a live workshop, right? So we are having this notebook. Obviously, this notebook will also be shared with you all in the email as well. Don't worry about that. And like this is the real-time compiler, right? Wait, let me just zoom so that you can see how it's working. Okay, these are completely different cells. Okay, this is a completely different cell. This is a completely different cell. When we are editing it, it is showing that it was loading. Now it again stop. Again, if we play it, it loads and then gives us our output. It again after being completely loaded, then it gives us our thing. So now let me zoom it again so that everyone like the text is visible to you all. Now coming over to the nested tuple that we created over here, n tuple, and with nested, we're having a string, a list, and another tuple inside a single tuple, right? So we are doing this with now a nested tuple. Now, similarly, just like a list, as you might have learned in the previous workshop, that how a list performs that nested. How can you access nested list in Python? Is simply by having first finding out the element. Till now, not yet. Yeah, it will be shared in the email. Like you guys will be having a feedback form. Is it right with them? They will. You will be shared. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. All the participants of this workshop will surely get this thing. That is like my. That is what I am saying to you. It is my words. Take it or not. You guys will get this whole collab sort of link with your emails that will be sent to you after this workshop. Okay, now as I'm time and again saying that a tuple is completely like a list, just with a single change, and that changes that it is not mutable. You cannot change it. Once a tuple is created, we are having a string, a list inside that tuple, and another tuple inside that tuple. Now, if we want to access it, we simply first give the value of that place we want, right? And then we give the value of the thing that we want inside that thing. Like for suppose if we want to access E in dimension, to access I in dimension, this one I in dimension. Now what we would do, we'd first carry out that what index number is dimension at. It is at index number 0. See, I'm writing here just for the clarification that this is not some sort of presentation or what. This is a complete compiler. Okay, if we now print just print my n tuple 0, what we'll get complete word dimension written over here. Okay, but we don't need dimension. We don't need dimension whole word. We need just this I, right? So let's calculate. Let's count the index number of this I. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Now, what we do, we write 6. Now, if we take it in simple English, it simply works like object number 6 inside object number 0 in my tuple. And if we take it as a sentence sort of way for a better understanding, right? That it is we want to access object number 6 inside object number 0, and that is lying inside n tuple. This is the most common practice. That is the most common practice that we want, that we practice, that we do when we are trying to understand a simple concept in programming. Right? It always starts from the right. The most minute thing is in the right. The most big thing is in the left. We take from right to left. So we are having we want to access object number 6 from object number 0 in my tuple. From the right we have started. That from right it is number 6 object number 6 inside object number 0. Now this is object number 0, object number 6 inside my n tuple. Now this is n tuple. What will the compiler do? The compiler will first check out n tuple, right? In n tuple, it will check out what is that index number 0. This is the index number 0, dimension is index number 0. Now, inside index number 0, again the compiler will check what the user wants. The user wants index array number 6 inside the index number 0. Now, then it will go to check what is that index number 0, and then it will provide output. Then it will provide a return function to the print, and then we'll have that print over here. Let me show you. Right? First, where we are having dimension, now over there we are having the 6th element of dimension, that is I. Right? Similarly, it works same with the list and same in the same manner with the tuple. Now we can also use negative indexing. We are using the very same table that we used upwards. Now, like in regular indexing, the first thing that we have, the first index number is 0. But in negative indexing, the first index number, or as we say, the last index number. So for negative indexing, it would be first. For negative indexing, the very first index number will be -1, right? So like if you want to access the last element, you would say I want to access -1. If you want to access the second last element, you would say that I want to access -2. And similarly like this, if you want to access the 15th element from last, you would use -15. You would not use -14. Because 0 doesn't, if we may, like logically speak, 0 doesn't have any sign. 0 is neutral. Yeah, negative indices. That's what I'm talking about. Negative indices. Now, if we do this in practically, we are having a simple tuple named as Python. Okay, and we want to access the last element. Now, for the last element, we are having what, as I already said, -1. Now, for -1, when we want to access the last element in the negative indexing, you don't know how many numbers of elements are there, but you want to access the last element. What would you do? You would simply use -1. Now, this is a very unique feature this is a very unique thing in Python. It is not available in almost any other thing, any other sort of programming language. And similarly, if we want to access the -6th element from the last, now that is P over here. If we simply run it, we get what? We get n as the n where we declared when we wanted to print -1, and we got P, the first element and the last element from the end, right? If we are having negative indexing, it is the last element. P would be the last element. We are having the last element and the first element from negative, that is N and P. Then once again, like if you want to have a clarification as well, now print the last, no, not last, let's take it as second last. The second last element is, right? Now the second last element would be -2. Okay, now what is the second last one? It is O. The second last one is O. And we have got the second last element is O, right? Okay, tuple disco print tuple 1. What is this? I'm sorry, I cannot get what you were trying to say, Amandeep Kaur. How to access I in disco with negative indexing. So you wanted to say that. Obviously, if you want to access I in disco, okay, let's do some dynamic thing, right? Let's take here demo tuple as disco, right? Now, if for you want to access disco with negative indexing, print, you want to I in negative indexing in tuple using Python is what is the name of our tuple? It is demo tuple. Or tuple I is the fourth last element. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth last element. So right here -4. Right? Now, am I clear, Naga Venkata Prakash? To access I from disco in negative indexing, you will use -4. Okay, now accessing tuple using slicing. Now, this is the very fun part of using a tuple or list of or any else or any other object in Python, inside Python. That is, it's slicing, right? Now, what does slicing do? It allows you to make subsets of the thing of a larger object that you're having. Now, for example, we are having here a tuple having the word letters programmers, right? Okay, not programmer. Let's do this programmer. It's difficult to say, right? Now, programmer. Now, we want to have a different tuple. We want to have another tuple from this tuple, from second element to fourth element. We want to have second element, second, third, fourth, right? R, O, and G. So what we'll do, we'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, not only one element. Okay, Naga, we can have this conversation in the end, right? Since it is a bit lacking. Now, what we have to do in the slicing, if you want to access the fourth element with index number 3, we'll have +1. Okay, the writer element would be +1. Exactly, Amandeep Kaur. It's exactly the same as in slicing in string or in list or in a dictionary. It's exactly the same, right? So, like if you want to access from the beginning till the second element with negative indexing, this is how you would do it. And similarly, if you want to access 8th element to the end, that's how you would do it, right? Now, if you want to have element from beginning to the end, you'll simply use my tuple square brackets, and a semicolon. Right? It would print all these things. Now, what does semicolon mean? If we're leaving either side of semicolon empty, if we're having like the starting point, starting part of the semicolon empty, or the ending part of the semicolon empty, it simply means that we are by default authorizing a Python, authorizing compiler to use till the end, or till the list is exhausted, right? So over here, in this example, we are not giving anything in the starting section or in the ending section. So it will print completely the whole thing, right? See, it will print completely the whole thing, not leaving anything. Now, like as I already repetitively said, that you cannot change values in tuples, right? You can simply replace the tuple. Okay. Now we are having here, let's concatenate tuples. Like how can you add? Can you add two different tuples in one? Is simply by this. So how you do it in string, how you do it in list, it is completely like that. Tuple 2, like the tuple where we want to add it is equals to the tuple we want to add it, and along with the element that we want to add, right? The slicing, this is a sort of illustration of slicing that we made. Now, I don't think that after the prior upbringing it is necessary, right? So we can slice tuples, object, obtaining new tuples with the same corresponding. We've done that. Now for the nested tuples, we have done the nested tuples as well. Consider the following tuples with several elements, right? Now here's the concrete example of a nested tuple, like tuples everywhere. Yeah, exactly. Of course, tuples everywhere. Okay, so we have a tuple named as nested T. In the tuple, we are having integers. We are having an other tuple with strings. We're having a tuple with numbers, and we are having a tuple inside a tuple having another tuple, right? So we are having triple three-way nested tuple over here. Now, to access this, what we need? We need to access three times. We need to access the tuple three times. The three indexes we have to get. We have not given here this example. Okay. Now, if we want to access this one, how we will do it? Firstly, as I told you, we'll check out that what is the element at the parent. The index number of the parent element is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4. Now we'll see that what is the index number of the inside tuple. It is again 1, 2. Oh, sorry, 0, 1. We'll write here 1. Now, if we want to access, now we are inside this tuple, right? We are inside this tuple with this configuration. Okay, now if we just print this one. Okay, sorry. We have not run out. We have not executed this one. That error. Because according to the compiler, the nested T did not exist because we did not execute it. It was present, but we did not execute it. Okay, so right. So now you see over here we are having 1, 2, right? This very tuple that we wanted to access one of. Now this is just complete. I'm taking an example. Now, if we want to access this one, what we have to do again? As we all know that the first index number is 0. So now we are having the 0th element. the element at index number 0 at index number 1 is index number 4 of nested T. What would it be? It would be 1. See, here is our output, that is 1. I hope so that the nested part of the tuples and the slicing would be very much clear. Now here is how the nested thing whole was working. 410. Yeah, exactly, 410. Great. Now here is a simple demonstration of how a nested tuple is working. Right? I won't go in the deep of that. It was like we can print those tuples, the subnet of the tuple, the subtuples of the very tuple. Okay, now with that, I think it should be the end of today's session. I know that I was not that quick. I was a bit boring, and I know all of you must be exhausted. Yeah, but yeah, if you like the session, do fill up the feedback form for that. Okay, so let's have a recall. Let's recall all the things that we have done today, right? Let's have a quick recap. Now, what are tuples in Python? They're completely similar to lists. The only difference is being that the tuples are immutable. You cannot change the tuples. You can not change the tuples. You can just change the list. Now, the tuples. No, it was good. Thank you so much, Kishan. Okay, the variables inside the tuples or the objects inside the tuples that we fix them, they are called. This is a complete term for those. They are enslaved variables. And enslaved, they don't have any rights. They cannot interact with others. They cannot interact with other elements of the same thing of the same program. They cannot be edited. Now, advantage of tuples over list, we save space, we save memory. Like the biggest gold of programmers, the biggest treasure for programmers is the execution speed. Tuples save lots of execution speed. Yes, Naga Venkata Prakash, you can write it out in the chat section. I'll address it now since we are done. Okay, so guys, if you have any question, don't hesitate to write that up in the section, in the chat section. I'll make sure to entertain every question from you guys. Yeah, I'm waiting for the questions, if you have any. Okay, thank you so much, Kishan. Like, if someone is having no doubt, it is a very common, but we can't make changes the element in tuple as we can do in the list. Yeah, that is the meaning of the word immutable, right? Amandeep, that's what I was saying again. That these are immutable things. These are immutable objects in Python. You cannot edit. While in the list, you can edit them. Okay, what you have asked before, Naga Venkata Prakash, if you would ask again, it would be so much great for me. Please, if you would. Or try to take more elements in demo tuple, not only one. how to access I and disco using negative indices. Uh, Naga Venkata Prakash, I already explained this, how you can, okay, wait, let me write this in the comment section for you. Okay, how can you access disco, I in disco using negative indices? Here you go, right? It is over here. Right? Am I clear now, Naga Venkata Prakash? Okay, so guys, I think that should be the wrap up for this. If you don't have any question, print clear, sir. Thank you so much for that fun. Okay, so like if you want to connect with me on the link on LinkedIn, uh, here's my LinkedIn profile link. Or like if you want to know more about me, you can access my website. You can follow me on GitHub as Mursal FK. Go see when there are more elements in demo tuple, you need to first check out their like first of all you need to know that what type, which element you want to access, right? Let me clear that terminology. You are having some confusion in the terminology section, right? First of all, we need to clear that what element we want to access. Once we cleared that we want to access I in disco, right? Not only one element. Okay. Now for that we use slicing. Now Venkata Prakash, for that we use slicing, as I already have given you example over here. We can slice using negative indexing as well. I don't know why you did not got that. Now see, we use slicing for that. If we want to access more than one element, we use the concept of slicing, right? Okay, so guys, just add it up. It was it will be all from my side, and thank you so much for being a great audience. Thank you so much for literally being great, not exaggerating, literally being a great audience. And thank you so much. It was very fun day being with you. I'm again showing you my link, or like you can also access me on GitHub as well. That's my username, Mursal FK. I know I am very self. So, uh, just post your full question, right? Yeah, that would be great. Now, just post your full question. That would be great. Now, guys, here's the feedback form. Do fill up the feedback form, as your certificates would be shared on the very email. Your like everything would be shared on this email. Even the link of this collab would be shared on this email, right? So thank you so much, guys. Bye bye. Take care and have a nice time ahead.